In this video we are going to talk about top 10 dangerous countries to travel. So before starting this video, please like this video and subscribe to this channel for our future updates. Number 10. Russia. Russia is the 10th most dangerous country in the world, according to the United Nations. In the research, it is stated that Russia has one of the highest per capita rates of weapons exports and that the country is highly militarized, which helps to explain its high ranking on this list. In contrast to the other nations on this list, Russia has a Level 2 travel advice from the United States Department of State. The threat of terrorism in Russia, harassment by Russian government security agents, the embassy's restricted ability to provide assistance to American citizens in Russia, and the arbitrary application of local law are all reasons to avoid traveling there at this time. Due to COVID-19 and the associated entry limitations, travelers should rethink their plans. Do not travel to the following locations. The North Caucasus, encompassing Chechnya and Mount Elbrus, is considered a high-risk region due to terrorism, kidnapping, and the possibility of civil instability. Crimea was annexed by Russia as a result of Russia's claimed takeover of Ukrainian land and violations committed by the Russian occupying forces. On August 5, 2021, the Department of Homeland Security permitted the voluntary departure of members of the United States government's family. Number 9. The Democratic Republic of the Congo, DRC. The Democratic Republic of the Congo is the world's 9th most dangerous country, according to the United Nations. The Democratic Republic of the Congo is at high danger of experiencing severe flooding, which increases the chance of future violence in the country. Additionally, they have lately been affected by the Ebola outbreak, which, according to the World Health Organization, has claimed the lives of nearly 2,200 people. Health personnel ability to provide care to Ebola patients has been severely hampered by the tremendous violence they have experienced. Number 8. Libya. Because of the rising conflict in Libya, as well as the country's significant risk of floods, it has earned a spot on this list. Libya has witnessed a high level of crime, military conflict, civil instability, kidnapping, and terrorism during the past several decades. ISIS has carried out a number of strikes in which civilians and soldiers have been slain. The conclusion of the war in Libya is still a long way off, and the country is currently the 8th most dangerous in the world. The political situation in Libya continues to be precarious, and the security environment remains perilous and unpredictably unpredictable. Throughout western and central Libya, there has been a considerable increase in the number of militarized forces since April 2019. Fighting erupted on a regular basis, and with a great deal of intensity to the south and west of Tripoli. According to reports, nearly 3,300 people died between April 2019 and July 2020, with more than 330 of them believed to be civilians. Fighting can erupt anywhere at any time without warning, including between local militia groups, and outbreaks of combat in residential areas have resulted in the deaths of a large number of citizens. In all regions where there is fighting, there is a considerable risk of people, including journalists, humanitarian workers, and medical personnel, being caught in indiscriminate gunfire or shelling, including air attacks, and being killed or injured. Number 7. Central African Republic. The Central African Republic is the world's 7th most dangerous country, according to the United Nations. For the most part, its inclusion on this list is due to the ongoing conflict between the Seleka rebels and the anti-Balaka militia. The fighting has resulted in the displacement of 620,000 individuals around the country, as well as the creation of 570,000 refugees. Kidnapping, violence, looting, and violations of human rights are also commonplace throughout the country. The Central African Republic suffers a loss of approximately 47% of its GDP as a result of violence. Number 6. Somalia. Somalia is the world's 6th most dangerous country, according to the United Nations. The risk of kidnapping in this country is extremely high throughout the entire country. Terrorist assaults on the Mogadishu International Airport, government buildings, hotels, and restaurants are common in the Somali capital. Those targeted in these terror assaults are likely to be foreigners, government officials, and United Nations employees. The United Nations has warned that more than 2 million people in Somalia are at risk of hunger, according to the organization. The lack of security personnel, as well as ongoing droughts and food shortages, have exacerbated an already precarious situation in the country. It has a significant danger of kidnapping and terrorist attacks on airports, government buildings, hotels, and restaurants are commonplace in the country. The majority of insurgents' targets are foreigners, government officials, and United Nations personnel. Number 5. Iraq. Iraq is the 5th most dangerous country in the world, despite the fact that ISIS has been formally destroyed there. In Iraq, conflicts and terrorist acts continue to erupt on a regular basis. ISIS continues to kidnap and kill civilians as well as members of the Iraqi military. In Iraq, the population continues to expand despite the ongoing violence, which has resulted in both an increase in the death toll and a large exodus of refugees. According to Iraq's fertility rate of 3.588 births per woman, as well as a decrease in the country's infant death rate, this is the case. In contrast, the fertility rate is declining as more women have access to higher education and career prospects. Number 4. Yemen. Yemen is the world's 4th most hazardous country, according to the United Nations. According to sources, the Yemeni civil war began in 2015 and is becoming worse by the day. According to the United Nations, Yemen is suffering from the world's worst humanitarian crisis, as a result of 4 years of protracted war and strife, which has resulted in 4.3 million people fleeing their homes and 14 million people at risk of famine and the outbreak of fatal illnesses. In desperate need of humanitarian help, almost 80% of Yemen's population, 24 million people, lives in desperation. On top of that, it is also one of the world's poorest countries, according to the World Bank. Number 3. South Sudan. South Sudan is the world's 3rd most dangerous country, according to the United Nations. Robberies, assaults, carjackings, and kidnappings are all common in the country, which is plagued by persistent conflict and civil upheaval, as well as violent crime throughout the country. Many experts believe that there is a good chance that peace will return to the country in the near future. Armed conflict exists mostly between the government and opposition organizations, and there is little to no rule of law and order outside of the country's capital, Juba, according to the United Nations Development Program. Number 2. Syria. Syria is the world's 2nd most hazardous country, after Afghanistan. Syria's wars have kept it on the list of the world's most dangerous countries for many years, according to the UN. The Syrian civil war has been the 2nd deadliest conflict of the 21st century, according to the United Nations. Approximately 470,000 people, including 55,000 children, have been killed in Syria's civil war, according to estimates. Over the previous few years, more than 6 million people have been internally displaced in Syria, with 5.7 million fleeing the country. Number 1. Afghanistan. A country's danger index score of 3.631 indicates that Afghanistan is the most dangerous country on the planet. Afghanistan has maintained its current status between 2020 and 2021. In addition, Afghanistan has the largest number of deaths due to war and terrorism of any country in the world, surpassing all others combined. According to the 2019 Global Peace Index, Afghanistan has surpassed Syria to become the world's most hazardous country, displacing it to the 2nd position. According to the UN Assistance Mission in Afghanistan, violence in Afghanistan costs the country around 47% of its GDP, and the ongoing conflict claimed the lives of 3,804 people last year, including 927 children, the largest number of children slain in the country in a single year. Afghanistan is subjected to lethal Taliban strikes across the whole territory of the country. However, even after years of nation-building efforts, the country remains divided, with half of it under Taliban control and the other half under the control of the government. It is a risky place to visit because of factionalism and a lack of state control, which allows crime and outlaws to thrive. Afghanistan has a crime rate rating of 76.97 out of 100. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from me again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go. Thanks for watching.